Welcome everyone to today's Chitas in a nutshell shir. Today is Thursday, the 30th of Lamed of Rosh Chodesh, and we're holding Chamishi in Parsha Shoftim. Here we go. The Torah says that one of the reasons why the Goyim were kicked out of Eretz Yisrael was because they were listening to who? People who were ma'oinanim v'koismim. They were doing magic and kishuf and putting, like we spoke about yesterday, birds' bones in their mouth and under their armpits and speaking to the dead. But the Jewish people, Hashem gave you something different. What did He give you? He gave you the Shechina of the Nevi'im, right? And the Urim V'Tumim, which you can ask questions. You don't need to ask dead people and make kishuf. You can ask the Urim V'Tumim and the Nevi'im. Now Hashem says, I will appoint a Navi from within you, the Jewish people, and that Navi will be like me in the sense that I'll tell him what to tell you guys and he'll tell you. So you don't need to go anywhere else. You have a Navi from Hashem. Moving on. The reason why I'm not going to speak to you myself is because in Chayrev, if you remember, when the Jews by Matan Torah, they couldn't handle Hashem's voice because it was too powerful for them, and they all passed away and came back alive. And there was a very, very interesting story the Gemara brings how the Yidden were actually thrown back many, many kilometers every time Hashem spoke, and the Malachim had to bring them back. But anyways, that's why we have a Navi who's a physical person we can relate to, and he can tell us what Hashem wants us to know. And whatever he tells us, we have to listen to because it's coming from Hashem. Now, if a person does not listen to the Navi, he's basically not listening to Hashem's words, and he must be punished, right? It's not good for him. But what about a Navi who is going to start prophesying, or he's going to say I'm a Navi? Really, he's a false Navi. So that Navi must be killed. He actually has to be killed with chenek, by strangling, being choked. Now, what if you say, how will I know if a Navi is a true Navi or a false Navi? So the way you know is if the Navi says something and he says this and this will happen tomorrow or the next day, and it comes that day and it doesn't happen, then you know he's a false Navi. When he says it in the name of Hashem. Alright? And such a Navi, do not be afraid to judge him in court, because you're not going to get punished from him because he's not a real Navi, right? So you can punish him and you should deal with him the way that you have to deal with him. Now, we go on to the idea of Ari Miklat. When Hashem gives you the land of Eretz Yisrael and you will inherit and conquer the land, you'll have to make 3 cities that are going to be Ari Miklat. What's Ari Miklat? A city of refuge when a person kills someone by mistake, right? We're going to give an example. If you take an axe, we'll get to it soon actually. Yeah? Fine. So you have to make these 3 cities, Ari Miklat, a city of refuge for someone who kills someone by mistake. So he killed someone by mistake. He didn't know, and it's not like he hated the person and today he happened to kill him. No, he didn't hate the guy. He didn't even know who he was. And one day, let's say he gives an example in the actual Parsha, he was chopping wood. In those days it was a very big thing. Chop wood, it was one of the big businesses. And he was chopping wood, and the metal part, the blade of the axe flew off. It was very, very heavy, and it struck the guy in the head or somewhere else, which was, it killed him, right? Unfortunately. Or Rashi says that other opinions say maybe you hit the axe on the tree and a piece of wood came flying off the tree which hit the guy. But the idea is the same, that the guy was killed by mistake from your action of striking the tree. Yeah? So what happens? This person has to run to Ur Miklat and he will be safe there. How will he be safe? Because now the Goyal Hadam, the relatives of this person who died, are not allowed to come into that city to kill him. But if you didn't go into that city, technically speaking, the Gemara argues back and forth whether he's allowed to kill you or not, but for your safety, better to run to that city of refuge. All right. So you have to have three cities, and when Hashem makes your borders bigger, then you're going to have more of these Ari Miklat. And you should not kill an innocent person for no reason. Now what if someone kills someone on purpose? He hated the guy, he messed him over in a business deal and he kills him, unfortunately. That person cannot run to the Ari Miklat because it's only for a person who did it by mistake. This guy did it on purpose. He must be tried by Bezdin in court, and no one shall be killed for no reason. Alright, moving on to today's Tanya. In today's Tanya, beautiful, beautiful Tanya, we're finishing off. We're continuing the idea of tzedakah. Here we are, Thursday. Tanya. So the altar says again, Al Kain, therefore, Ahuvai Achai, my brothers and my beloved ones. Take this to your heart, what I said, in very, very briefly, is going to give you a summary, how we said that every generation has their specific avodah, their service of Hashem in that generation. And even though it says that it says Talmud Torah Kenegat Kulam, right? That Talmud is the Iker, learning Torah is the main thing. But he says that was in the times of the Gemara, when the Yidden were on a different level. And they were all smart people, and Go'anim and Gedalim, and had a Tanaim and Amoraim, and they were Shainim and Achrayim, right? These days, he says, we're not on that level, and the Beis Hamikdash is not standing anymore. And our main avodah in the Ikfus at the Mashiach, in the toughest times of Galus, right? The footsteps before Mashiach, or the birth pains before Mashiach, is to do what? To give tzedakah. And when we give tzedakah, back in the day, their avodah was learning. Learning is a spiritual thing. You're not physically doing it. Well, you're shackling, you're learning, but you're not really physically doing anything, right? So it's not, you don't elevate that much. These days, the avodah is physical. When you take from your own money and you give it to someone else, it's a very physical thing. Excuse me, and that elevates a lot more, and can bring in a lot more light into this world. This way we can be ready for the coming of Mashiach. Shkoyach for learning today's Chitas in a nutshell.